What is up, bros? Me, Josh here, and in this video, I'm going to go over the pride of the Italian fleet in World of Warships, the Tier 6 premium cruiser, the Duca D'Aosta. Now, I say it's the pride of the Italian fleet because it's the only Italian ship currently in World of Warships, and that's pretty exciting because that means maybe a line will be coming in the near future. So, that's one of the main things that's really nice about the ship, too, is it's an awesome captain trainer for the upcoming line. Not sure when that's going to hit, but it is something to give you a bit of a head start if you do pick up this premium ship. So if you guys have been in my stream recently when I've been playing this ship and showing it off, even when it was in the work in progress period, you guys kind of know how I feel about this ship, and we'll dive into that in a little bit. So the ship boasts almost 30,000 life, which is actually pretty solid for this tier. And it doesn't have too much armor, although most cruisers at this tier really don't have that much armor anyway. So it's something to definitely be careful about. You are going to absolutely get wrecked by a battleship if you're a broadside, even wrecked by a cruiser if you're a broadside. So be very, very careful. You're rocking about 70 millimeters in armor thickness in the armor belt, but still be very, very careful showing any kind of broadside in this ship, as well as you be taking massive alpha damage in any of the real sides if you're really showing any kind of angle. Now, the star of the show is the main battery. This is something that has been getting a lot of praise, and in my opinion, is actually something that is one of its weak sides even. And I may be one of the few people that actually talk about one of the weak sides of this ship. But the main battery, with a 7.5-second reload, is actually really good for this tier. You can pump out a ton of damage, especially if something's showing broadside. And if you can see it right there, 1,000 meters per second on the AP shell velocity, one of the fastest, if not the fastest shell velocity in this game. These things are absolute lasers, and they will absolutely murder anything that is showing broadside and giving you even a little bit of an angle. You will absolutely be able to murder these ships. However, although the AP is insane, the HE, in my opinion, is very mediocre, with only a 9% fire chance with a demo expert captain, so the base is only 7%. Now, this is a heavy HE meta currently in World of Warships, so if you don't have an HE, really a cruiser that has long range and HE strengths, you're going to have a tough time really competing, especially if you get up tiered, and that's one of the massive downsides of this ship. Now, if you are playing against a bunch of Omahas and a bunch of Leanders and a bunch of stuff that's showing you broadside all day, you're going to be absolutely destroying those guys with your AP, and then move on to the next one and get your Krakens and get your 100,000 damage games all day, all night. But this is not like that. You're playing a Tier 6 cruiser in a Tier 6 matchmaking, and currently on North America, Tier 6 is absolutely brutal for matchmaking. You get up tiered almost all the time. I would say probably over half of your games you'll be at bottom tier at Tier 6 right now. It really depends on who's playing, but it seems like the majority of the time you're going to be bottom tier, so that is a massive disadvantage for the ship because it only has a 14-kilometer range. This is one of the shortest ranges of any Tier 6 cruiser besides the Leander. That's the only thing that has a shorter range than this. So what does that mean? Technically, if you're playing against a Budyani and you're shooting your guns, that Budyani could burn you down and you could never reach him without your spotter plane. It does come with a spotter plane, so it does give you a bit of a chance, but still, since this game is such a heavy HE meta, and only 9% chance of fire, although you do have a pretty good reload. 9% chance is super low, one of the lowest for this tier, and really does give it a bit of a problem going against anything that's maybe angled, like a battleship that is angled correctly, and you really can't, do any damage to them, a little bit in the superstructure, but you're going to get a ton of bounces, a ton of breaks, a ton of, ricochets, all that kind of stuff. So, people are praising this thing for its AP, but if you are playing against a person that is competent, you are going to do little to no damage to them because, one, your fire chance is so low, and your AP is just going to bounce on anything that has any kind of armor, especially battleships. The biggest knock for me on this ship is its range at only 14 kilometers, and that is absolutely pitiful for this tier. Like I said, the lowest besides the Leander, and you're going to have a massive problem, especially getting up tiered. I found this ship to be very lackluster when I was bottom tiered because things could just outreach me, and if I was going to a side where there weren't ships and there weren't things that I could use as cover, you were chasing ships a lot. Now you do have a spotter plane, you do kind of have that extra range and a very low trajectory. But if things aren't in your range, you're pretty much danger close to if you are shooting at something at 14 kilometers. Maybe something a little bit closer than that. That's the biggest knock for this ship. Torpedoes. Now they just increased these from the recent work in progress stage, and they increased it to 12 kilometers, which is pretty freaking cool because this is the longest cruiser torp in the game, and I believe it is the longest torp in the game besides the gearing and the Shimakaze. Now, I always forget the high tier Germans, but I believe this is one of the longest, if not the longest for cruisers, and one of the longest in all ships in this game. So that is pretty awesome. 12 kilometers. You have god tier torp arcs of almost the entire length of your ship, so you can have a very aggressive angle with your torp launchers and get those torps out. Although they're very, very slow at 51 knots, and they do hit with a mediocre damage, with an alright damage of 13,000. But you do have a decent reload, so feel free to use these ships. They do a really, really good job. Like I said, you can keep a very aggressive angle and push onto these guys. The AA, now I do run the AA mod, so the AA is decent, and you can run, I'll just go over the modules in just a little bit. The AA is okay. The AA, it goes out to a decent range of 5.7 kilometers. You can engage planes there. It will keep you alive, and it is a blast to kind of knock a couple extra planes down in any cruiser. Now, it's not the Cleveland or, you know, the Badiani or something like that, but you can knock a couple planes out of the sky, and you aren't just a free target to drop on. Maneuverability is alright. The ship is very fast though, at 36.5 knots, and a rotor shift of 5.3. So shake that booty, avoid as many shots as you can, and get out of range, and then come back and maybe when they're a little bit closer and re-engage with your strong AP. Detectability 10.3. That's actually really good for this tier. Relatively stealthy. Detectability by air is 6.5. So when let's go over the modules really quick. So this thing's pretty cool because it has sonar, AA, and it has a spotter plane. The spotter plane is definitely needed, so run the premium one if you can afford that. I run AA, the premium AA, and then I run the premium hydroacoustic, of course, with the premium repair. Upgrades, main battery one, I think that's pretty basic. AA guns, I want that extra range. It does actually help a lot. Propulsion, I think, is just nice. I noticed I was losing propulsion a little bit if I did over the steering, so I went with that. But if you notice you're losing steering more than propulsion, feel free to grab that. And then, of course, I'm grabbing steering gears. I was noticing a lot with this ship that you are going to be an absolute monster against cruisers and destroyers. Your big threat is going to be battleships because they're just going to outrange you. And if you are, I mean, you're going to be, if you are shooting at a battleship, you're within 14 kilometers of a battleship. And anything at tier 6 and tier 7, and even if up to tier 8, those are really, really scary ships to get that close to. Now, this thing is going to absolutely shine, in my opinion, if you are top tier. If you are top tier, this ship is much stronger. Things are going to be closer, the maps are smaller, and you are going to be much more, you can be a much more aggressive ship and pump out a lot more damage. The downside of this ship is when you do even get into the tier 7s, into the tier 8s, I feel like there are other ships that up tier much better because of the range. If this thing had, let's say, a 16-kilometer range, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd say this ship is really good, it can up tier really well, and you can really enjoy it in high tiers. I kind of dreaded playing this ship against the lower tier, or against the higher tiers. Now, if I was playing the Molotov and stuff like that, you have that range, you have the HE punch power, you have the ability to kind of rain down that long range HE. With this, you just don't have that range. You're almost outranged by every cruiser. You're almost outranged by some destroyers. So that was the part that really got me with this ship. You have to play this ship very cautiously, pick your spots right, and really start working teams when you can, and then don't be afraid to go dark and reposition into a better spot, pump some damage out, hit the AP when you can on battleships and cruisers, especially the cruisers. You know, be aggressive on a destroyer if you need to, because you can just absolutely destroy him with your reload time, your sonar, and, you know, your torp angles and stuff like that. It's just, I feel like this ship, it's getting a lot of praise. I feel like this ship, to me, is very middle of the ground. I don't think it's anywhere near the best tier 6 cruiser. I don't even think it's the best tier 6 premium cruiser right now. I think the Molotov's still better with the current meta of just being HE heavy. You know, the Molotov can just sit at max range and just pinpoint shells and just burn everything down to the ground with a higher fire chance. So I do find the Duca a fun ship to play if you do get top tier. The best part about this ship, it is the first Italian ship to come out, and you can get training on a new captain and really start working that line. And once the line comes out, whenever it does come out, you will have an advance or a head start on the captain and have a well-trained captain and a bit of an advantage. So that's always nice to pick up and keep in mind. So that is it for me, guys. The Duca, all in all, I do think the ship is worth a pickup. You know, if you do get up tiered, you just have to play it very, very cautiously. I feel like this ship loses a lot of its fun because it's just really, really hard to compete in the higher tiers, and because of the lack of range. But this ship really does shine if it does get high tier, or if it does get top tiered. I'm going against tier 6 cruisers, even with longer range, and tier 5 cruisers or whatever you're going against, it can absolutely just punish the enemy team. It just really shows that its lack of range and its lack of HE ability really does kind of put it at a massive disadvantage compared to even other tier 6 cruisers if it does get bottom tiered. But enjoy the ship, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Duca. If you think it's an absolute beast, if you think it's a overrated ship, if you think it's a very middle of the ground. I find this ship to be very hit and miss. I find it to be very kind of all right, but I do think it's still worth to pick up. Not only because it's tier 6, so it's not going to be super expensive, and it's a great starter for the Italian line and can be a lot of fun to play in a lot of situations. I did have fun playing this when you kind of did go against your tier 6 ships. It's just certain matchmakings that made it fun. Yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think of this ship. That is it for me, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.